Hi, Douglas Simonson here, coming to you from Mexico with another time-lapse video where I create a painting from start to finish. Today, as is often the case, I'm going to be doing a male nude. But this is a rear nude, it's very tasteful, so stay calm. Today, I'm going to be working from a photograph of a model I shot quite a few years ago in Hawaii. His name is Anthony D. And by the way, if you like this model and you'd like to see more of him, there is a great feature on my website called Browse by Model, and I'm going to show you how to find it right now. Here is the splash page at douglassimonson.com. Click on Member Login if you're a member, and if you're not, it's easy and free to create an account so that you can be a member and see all the nudes. So here's the Member Login page. Once you're logged in, you then have the option of going up to the Art Members Only link, where you have a lot of galleries you can go to, each represented by a big color block. Click on Newest, and it'll take you where you want to go, which is the opening page of the Members Only galleries. From there, click on Browse by Model. They're in alphabetical order, so it's easy to find Anthony D. Just click on that name and you are immediately taken to a page showing you all the current nudes of Anthony D on my website, which by the way is at douglassimonson.com. Anyway, here's the photo I'm going to be working from today from an early morning shoot at Diamond Head Beach. And here's how I tweaked it in Photoshop. This is step one. Then, when I decided I needed it to be even less detailed so I could see the big shapes even better, this is step two. And by the way, you can find out more about how I tweak photos to make all that possible by watching my video on this channel called Using Photoshop to Make Photos Easier to Paint From. There are a few ways I can transfer the image onto the canvas for painting. One way, which I'm not doing this time, is to do a lot of preparatory drawings. Another way, which I use when I'm really in a hurry and I really don't want to draw, I just want to paint, is to use a digital projector and just project the image onto the canvas where I can trace it with pencil. Now, that's really a lot easier and it saves a lot of time, but just so you know, you sacrifice a lot in terms of aliveness and energy, and it also compromises your drawing skills if you use it very often. So it's okay to use once in a while, but don't get addicted to the projector, okay? The third approach, and the one I'm using today, is to do no preparatory drawings at all. After I've covered the canvas with an acrylic wash and mixed up my paints, then I just dive in and start sketching out the big shapes with paint. This is the most challenging, the scariest, the most daunting, the most dangerous approach. But it can also be the best approach in terms of energy and aliveness. You're really walking on the high wire with this one. It's hard to pull off unless you have a lot of drawing experience, because as you're doing this, you're constantly having to check proportions and relative positions of all the shapes. And that's hard to do unless you have a lot of practice at it. And even then, it's pretty hard to do. But that is the approach I'm using here. And when you're up for it, it's more exciting and it produces much better results when it works. I've got the big shapes more or less in place now, so I'm starting to apply some color to the body. This is where the version of the photo that I've tweaked in Photoshop really helps, because I can see areas of color clearly separated and just copy them, more or less. I'm talking about big areas of color at this point. I'm being careful not to get caught up in detail. And I'm doing lots of stepping back and squinting to make sure the big shapes are working. And usually they're not. That's why I'm constantly checking and refining the shapes as I go. I'm also checking the values. That means I'm looking for places where an area is too dark or too light. Once you've got the shapes more or less in place, then making the painting work gets to be all about values. When you've got an area of your painting that just isn't working, but you can't figure out why it's not working, it's probably because it's either too light or too dark. This is something that takes a while to learn, but if you know about it, you can start to look for it. And when you get better at values, when you get better at the lights and the darks, your paintings will get way better. There are basically just three big shapes going on in this painting: the body, the sand, the vegetation in the upper background. With the body and the beach sand more or less working, I'm now turning my attention to the vegetation, and the first thing I'm doing is bringing in some more exciting colors. But it's not just the colors that are making this area more exciting, it's the values. I'm putting in some light values where there weren't any before, and it's starting to come to life. The colors are just the frosting here. It's the lighter values that are really making the difference. And by the way, I'm not copying the source image exactly in this background area. I'm just using it as a reference and changing things where it looks like it'll help the painting. Now I'm refining the lights and darks in the body and the sand. Again, it's not the colors that are making things more alive and exciting, it's the values, the lighter lights and the darker darks. Working on the head and face, it's hard not to get too careful. I can keep that from happening by squinting a lot and focusing on just the light and dark areas and forgetting that it's a face. That's not easy to do, but you get better at it with practice. And this is the finished painting. I call it Anthony at Diamond Head, and you can see it now on my website at douglassimonson.com. Okay, I hope you enjoyed watching me paint. If you did like it, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm always creating new art, so that means I'm always creating new videos. So if you did watch and maybe got a little inspired, get out your paint brushes and your paints and put on your painting pants and go paint.